Nikki, it's so great to see you.
Hi, David.
Hello,
Hey,
David.
Jane, great to see you. It's been
Hi,
such a long
David.
time.
How are you doing?
Hey David, how are
Hey,
you?
Larry. One, hey, Francis, how are you? Great to
Good,
see you.
good. Good to see you
It's
too.
been too long. Hey, Ted,
Hey, David, it's been too long.
I
it's
know.
been a long time. Great to see all of you.
Hi, David. Good to see you.
Hey, Tito.
Thank you, David, for coming up with us.
Larry, how have you been?
I've been well. Thank you, David.
Good. You look very well.
I am. Thank you, X39. Look at me. I got more hair now.
We don't make that claim.
No, it's a copper peptide, David.
Okay. Okay. That's good to hear.
All right.
I don't want to get in trouble and we're just starting.
Yes, sir.
We'll try not to get you in trouble.
That would be good. I would like that. I would like that. Staying out of trouble would be a good thing.
It was a great webinar, by the way, the last one. I'm sure, did you get in trouble?
I didn't get in trouble. The only time I make medical claims is when it's about products we don't sell.
Yet.
So that keeps me out of trouble. Then I can talk under free speech, so it's okay. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yes, it was
It was awesome.
it was awesome. Lots of information.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Okay, we're at the top of the hour. Go ahead, Jen.
All right. I know I keep seeing name flashing by, so it's a little distracted. But hello everybody. My name is Jane Schaefer, and I am your host for tonight. Welcome to our regular patching training that has been run by Nikki and Larry for the past 10 years. But as you all know, tonight we do have a special guest. So, we'll get to that in a few minutes. But in the meantime, I want to recognize the leader that's been helping in putting this webinar together. So we have Rick DeLuca, Nikki Chan, Larry Yang, Ted White, Tito's Nuertos, and Francis Harsano. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So now to our special guest for tonight. He doesn't require much of an introduction at all. So when I do introduce him, I like to say that he is an inventor first, because without his product, we wouldn't be here, right? And then he is the founder and CEO of LifeWave. Not just that, his humanitarian work and his generosity has echoed throughout the company and throughout the world. And lastly, I like to say that he's a real life Iron Man. So let's give him a warm emoji welcome, because you guys can't talk. The heartwarming welcome to our call, our one and only David Schmidt.
Thank you, Jane. It's very kind of you. And, I want to thank all of you for your leadership, your hard work, your dedication, for all the time that you've put into LifeWave now since, it's more than 10 years that you've all been going at this. So thank you so much for everything that all of you have done to keep the company going and always be there for us. I really appreciate it. It's been amazing.
Yes, they're quite an amazing leaders. We do have a good team here. But so thank you so much for taking the time. I know it's 9 o'clock in your time, and taking the time off your busy schedule to be here with us. We are really truly appreciate it. We do have lots of questions, and we kind of narrow it down to about 15. So we'll try to get to that as many as we can. But I'd like to say first, happy 20th years anniversary. It's been it's been quite a milestone. Not only that recently LifeWave has been recognized in industry as the fastest growing company due to breaking sales record months after month. And I'm sure we're on its way again because of the last week promotion. It was a wonderful promotion. So happy anniversary.
Thank you. Actually, it's funny because this Saturday, July 13th, is the 22nd anniversary
Oh,
of when I started LifeWave. And August 13th, although we celebrated it on November 10th, is the 20th anniversary of the network marketing company. And yeah, it's been been an extraordinary journey, and I'm just so grateful that at this 20-year mark for the company, that we're growing stronger than ever. Last month was the biggest sales month in the history of the company, and our sales this year are going to be about 50% higher than last year. So we're growing at an extraordinary rate, and it's because we have an amazing community of leaders and brand partners. It's the only reason why we're growing.
well, that's amazing. Thank you. But if you don't mind, I do, since it's the 20th years anniversary, and I thought this quote that was shared during the LifeWave launch in Las Vegas would be appropriate to start out our meeting. So the quote was from Coach Richard Quick. And he said back then that this is an important work. You don't realize the potential you have here to change lives of many people in so many different ways. That seem to be extraordinary today will be commonplace in the future. If something can be done 20 or 30 years in the future, why can't we do it today? And that's what you have done with LifeWave. And
Yeah, Richard was just had such an amazing influence on this company. And I don't think we'd be where we are today if it hadn't been for the contributions that he made. When I first met Richard, the most important thing for him was that his athletes were safe, and that anything new that he was going to try, he had to be guaranteed that in no way was it going to be harming his athletes. Richard always wanted to stay on the cutting edge and try new things as long as his athletes would be safe and healthy. And he was very outspoken against anabolic steroids and other performance enhancing drugs in sports. He was very against that, but anything natural he would try. So when I had the incredible privilege of meeting him and being with him at Stanford in early 2004, it was just really surreal to be with him as a 6-time U.S. Olympic coach. And then within the first 3 weeks of his athletes, the Stanford women's swim team, using the energy patches, 6 of them out of the 8 broke their personal lifetime best in their event, which was incredible. And then, of course, we went on in late July and early August of 2004 to where we made national headlines with the Stanford women's swim team being spotted using the patches at the Olympic trials, and then off the company went. So I owe just an enormous debt of gratitude to Richard for everything that he did for LifeWave, and just an incredible human being, incredible human being.
right, and that is one of the one of many reasons how I got started with LifeWave as well, because I have 2 athletes that play collegiate golf, and we want to make sure that they don't get drug tested for anything, and increasing energy and staminas and all this stuff naturally, as was important for us. And of course, you had helped Tyler with his broken foot lately, and he's on his way, and doesn't require therapy whatsoever. So thank you so much for that.
Congratulations. That's wonderful.
Thank you. So fast forward and backward a little bit to 2018. I remember like yesterday when you first introduced the first webinar of X39. And at that time, nobody can buy it. We had to earn it to be able to
That's right.
use the X39. I know a lot of us here worked so hard in trying to get that X39 in our hands, and I was privileged enough to be able to get a few and start using it since then, and it's been amazing. So back then you didn't have many studies or testimonial about X39 yet. Could you even thought that X39 would have improved so many lives in the past 6 years?
Well, we had about 10 years of research into stem cells. And this was work that we did with pulsed electromagnetic field therapy and looking at how we could activate and mobilize the stem cells with an external electromagnetic field. This work was done in the United States. We had several researchers working on it. We had Norm Shealy was doing a study for us, 2 studies. We had Dr. Glenn Ryan, who's an expert in vitro, doing studies for us. And then we did studies at the National University of Ireland in Galway, where we were looking at MSC stem cells and what type of what would happen to, let's say, stem cells taken from a donor over the age of 60. Could we revitalize those stem cells, in addition to some other laboratory work? So we had this 10 years of work, and we were seeing these incredible effects. And the question was, how could we make this available to everyone and do it affordably? Because the equipment was very expensive, and it was something really only suitable to be administered by a doctor in a hospital. And I suppose one of the reasons why I really like Iron Man is that it seems that every time he's faced with a problem, he goes into his lab, he goes into his cave, and he has to come up with a solution. And in this particular case, back in 2017, LifeWave was very flat. It wasn't growing. And it was very frustrating for me because I wanted to find a way to bring some excitement back into the company. And I kept trying to think about all of this work we were doing on stem cells and how could we make this available inexpensively to everybody. And that's really when X39 was born. It was born kind of out of this time where things weren't going so well. But fortunately, we were able to take a situation that wasn't so good and turn it now today into something that's amazing. So I feel very blessed that we had that opportunity. But we did do some very foundational studies with X39 prior to it launching, where we knew what it was designed to do. We saw the lab results, but you never know how things are going to work out with marketing. And the first webinar that I did with leaders, which was in the middle of June of 2018, I thought, I don't know what they're going to think about this. Maybe they'll like it, maybe not. You never know how people are going to react. And of course, we were all really delighted that our teams were so excited about the concept. And then, of course, in July, we started getting incredible testimonials back, and that's what put us on the trajectory we're on today. And it's been absolutely exhilarating, to be a part of this experience.
I know. I remember that X39 was just like all the patches that you start. You usually start with like X15, just like Eon. You weren't sure you were
Right.
going to keep the X39, and then I think you sent out company wise as to what the people liked, and everybody sort of go, you know what, stay with X39, which I'm glad. I think it's a neat
That's
thing to
exactly
have.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you spoke often of age reversal, and most of your research now is into the age reversal. At what point in time did your interest in that come in or begin?
Oh, maybe I was 7 or 8 years old.
Wow.
And, my Rick DeLuca may hit me over the head for this, and he's the last person I want to offend. But I'll say this in brotherly love, because Rick and I share some Italian blood. On my mom's side, I'm Italian, Northern Italian. And, I noticed that my Italian relatives were not aging very well. So I saw, these people in their 60s and their 70s, and I thought, this is what I have to look forward to. This is what human beings look like when they're in their 60s and 70s. This is crazy. And I just had this feeling inside that this is something that I would not become. And I wanted to start reading, learning, and trying to figure out how to stop this thing called aging. And so very early age, I was reading encyclopedias, health books. My mom was really into nutrition and herbs, so she had some books that I would read. Um, and of course, when Dirk Pearson and Sandy Shaw came out with their book Life Extension, I was 15 years old, and that was maybe a 400-page book, and I read it front to back many, many times. It just, the whole idea of extending life through nutrition was just so interesting. But ultimately, I think this comes back. We look back in history, and the Bible is very clear that people would live to be hundreds of years old, over 900 years old. So we either say, well, this is the inspired word of God. It's either factual or it's not. So my preference has been to treat the book of Genesis as indeed the inspired word of God and take it literally. And it's interesting because when you take the Bible literally, you start to see that there's actually a mathematical code there, and it's not at all an accident. The other thing that I would point to as a fact is that there are species on this planet that don't show any signs of aging, and also, of course, amazing regenerative properties. So when we look at these species, this is an area of science called biomimetics. What we can do is study these species and then come up with a technology to mimic the way that they're defeating aging. I'm making it sound easy, but of course, these are things that people devote decades of their life trying to figure out. But I'm delighted to say that over the past 6 years, I've uncovered a biological code that exists, and that my main area of focus has been in lobsters because lobsters actually get stronger as they age. I've uncovered this biological code. We've been able to run experiments now. We've done 3 human clinical studies, and we're just completing our 4th. And in fact, what we're showing in these studies are these remarkable, remarkable effects.
That's amazing. It's fascinating. I know you talk about it a little bit during our last convention, and I'm sure you'll be going over again this convention in October and many, many more. So
Oh, yeah. Well, I think what I'd say is that, Dallas is sold out.
I
We
know.
have, we would have room. I think we have a waiting list of well over 1,000 people. So we could have 7 or 8,000 people there, but we just don't have room for it. But I can tell you that I'm going to devote several hours to this subject at conference in October. And I'm going to walk through all of the research we've done, all of the math involved. And by the time our brand partners get out of there, they're going to understand this thing from beginning to end. It will be very clear that all of this math lines up, and it is absolutely true.
That's fascinating. Well, now that you brought up that we have a waiting list, are you going to have a virtual? I mean, people that can attend virtually, can they do
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, it hadn't been our initial intent. We had wanted to just keep the event live, but because the waiting list is so long now, we have discussed going with an online event for those people that can't make it. So I'm almost certain at this point that's something that we're going to do.
Well, see, you guys are lucky. You heard it. That it can happen. So,
Yeah.
okay, we have like over 60 questions that pour into Nikki. But trust, we won't keep you for to answer all the 60 questions, and we'll try to get
Okay, I'll do my best.
as many as we can, and whatever we can, maybe I'll email some to you and you can
I'm
respond.
not going to believe it's your fault or Nikki's fault. We can blame Larry. I know he's totally okay
Oh, yeah.
with that.
We blame Larry all the time. So, yes.
I'm perfectly fine with that, David.
Larry, you're a good man.
So, shall we get started?
Absolutely.
All right. All right. So, first question is from Suzanne. So, Suzanne, if you're here, you can unmute yourself.
I'm here.
All right. Go ahead, Suzanne. Welcome.
Hi, thank you. Well, David, thank you so much for doing this for our team. And it's such a delight to actually be able to ask you a question. So thank you for that. And if you don't mind, I just wanted to tell you, as a wellness advocate and health coach, you have made me literally Wonder Woman with the amount of success I've had with my clients and my family and friends. So I really, want to bring that home to you, that you're just making us superstars with the work you're doing. So thank you so much.
Oh,
And
thank you. Congratulations.
oh, you're welcome. But I just have to share, I have a 100-year-old father who just celebrated his birthday in April. And
Wow.
3 years ago at 97, he had a goal to live to be 100 and live in his home. And thanks to the patches, and I could tell you story after story about his success, he has met his goal thanks to you. So
Oh, that's amazing.
yeah, no, it's been incredible the things that he's been able to accomplish with these patches. So, okay, here's my question so I don't get in trouble with Nikki and Larry and Jane. So detoxing, such as skin rashes and on point of patching and headaches, seem to be an issue for some users who first start with X39. Can you please elaborate on this and how best to handle this issue so that we don't lose anyone before they even get started from these two detoxing, we think are detoxing issues?
Yeah, there could be a number of things. So let's go through this one by one. First, about 1 in 10,000 people are going to be allergic to the adhesive. We use a 3M hypoallergenic adhesive, same type of adhesive that's used in Band-Aids, but still some people are going to have an allergy to them. Those individuals that do, the allergy is usually very severe. So you can normally tell a rash from an allergic reaction. In the case where somebody has an allergic reaction, again, which is rare, you can apply the patch to the inside of the clothing. As long as the patch is facing the body, the light will stimulate the skin and produce the effect. So that would be the first thing. The second thing is that if people wear the patches too long, they can develop a heat rash. Now, the patches are designed to trap heat, but if somebody leaves them on overnight by mistake, they could get an irritation there. So what they should do is stop applying the patches for 24 hours, and then they can restart applying the patch to a different location on the body. That's another one. Then sometimes you do see a detox. I've had acupuncturists tell me this, where the patch, because it's trapping heat, will actually pull toxins through the skin. So this will resolve in time. If your clients are drinking additional water, they're consuming fiber. When people are detoxing from heavy metals, if they consume a little bit more fiber, it will bind the toxins up and help to eliminate it. So this will resolve over time. In that particular case, then someone could use the patches, let's say 3 hours, 4 hours per day, as opposed to 8 to 12 hours per day. So you could, for a period of a week or two, you could reduce the amount of time that someone's using the product. So there's several strategies there for dealing with that.
Great, thank you. Great question. Next question we have from Lavinia in Canada. She said that high uric acids often happens in men. Patching for pain reduction using X39 Eon LifeWave is a 50% chance of reducing the pain. Do you have any other recommendations?
Okay, so she's talking about uric acid?
Yes.
Yeah. So in that particular case, The patches would be applied down around the feet, and there's several different locations. One of the locations would be on the inside of the ankles. In acupuncture, this would be the spleen 6 acupuncture point. So this is found by taking 4 fingers and applying, going 4 finger widths above the inside of the ankle bone and applying the LifeWave patches, white on right, tan on left. And this will help to improve the circulation of blood and lymphatic fluid through the feet. Another potential location for assisting with this would be right on top of the foot. And so if you picture, can't really do it too well here, but if this is where the ankle would be on top of the foot, there's a point there. I believe it's called stomach 40 in acupuncture. And you could apply white on right, tan on left with the LifeWave patches there as well. And then finally, at the liver 3 acupuncture point, which would be between the big toe and the next toe over in the webbing on the foot. And again, white on right, tan on left. Another patch that would be helpful would be the glutathione patch in this case. And this could be applied either at the belly button, or it could be applied to the point of pain.
Okay, thank you. So we have next question from Sandy Adams. Sandy, can you unmute yourself?
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Perfect.
So go ahead.
Oh, okay. So, hi, David. Very nice to meet
Hey,
you. I will tell you a quick introduction to how I got into LifeWave was through Jane. She has 2 boys that play golf, and I have a son who plays golf. And I used X39 and Eon to successfully heal a bone in my son's wrist that was dying. It wasn't getting blood flow. Yeah. And as a golfer, it's pretty important to save that bone. So we're very grateful that that helped him, and he is playing golf today. So
Congratulations.
Thank you. So my question has to do with the carnosine patch. So my son, as a golfer, he uses all his muscles every day when he goes out to play. Sometimes his muscles will get very stiff and tight. So I guess the first question is, what is the reason that happens biologically or physiologically, chemically? I know posture sometimes is an issue, stress, can be an issue, but how does that happen? And then secondly, how does the carnosine patch help to improve that and the flexibility? I've heard you talk about how it increases flexibility. How does the carnosine patch do that?
Yeah. Okay. So let's break this down. That's an interesting question. So if your son is an athlete and he's going out and exercising daily, an adaptation ability that human beings have is that when confronted with stress, we have mechanisms to adapt to that stress. And this is what allows us to survive. So in the case of, and of course, athletes use this to their advantage, because when you go out and you practice, you do resistance training, this results in developing more muscle tissue and improving strength and stamina. And the stimulus behind this, one of the stimulus is going to be lactic acid. So if we look what happens in the muscle, we're converting a fuel source. This could be glycogen, carbohydrates, fats are being converted over into energy. And when the body goes into anaerobic metabolism, now we're going to be producing lactic acid. Interestingly enough, if you want to say it this way, is that when people have cancer and they become very sore, it's because there's depressed levels of oxygen in the body, and lactic acid is going to be forming. And that's why therapies that use oxygen, it could be hyperbaric chambers.
Uh-oh.
I got muted by accident. Okay. That's why those therapies have been used for decades as natural therapies for treating cancer because they help to bring up the oxygen levels in the body. It's also historically why alkalizing agents, even sodium bicarbonate, has been used successfully as part of an overall cancer therapy because it helps to neutralize the lactic acid. In addition, endurance athletes have found that sodium bicarbonate can be used in a very specific way to help improve endurance by buffering the formation of lactic acid. Interestingly, and I'm going to answer your question, but it's
This is
I am going
interesting.
to answer your
Thank
question,
you.
but I wanted to point some of these things out. Interestingly, people that are ultra marathon runners typically have a genetic defect that prevents them from producing lactic acid. I believe his name is Dean Karnassus, can run 60 miles without ever getting tired.
Wow.
And his body doesn't produce lactic acid. So, but for the rest of us, lactic acid is a great thing. I love to lift weights. I love resistance training. And so anybody that does resistance training, they want to feel that burn when they train, and then they're sore the next day. Well, what happens is that if you take lactic acid and you put it on muscle tissue, you just do this in a petri dish, the muscle tissue will begin to grow. So this is an adaptation response. So when your son is playing golf, he's training regularly, and he is getting sore, it's because that's his body's response to trigger muscle growth. Now, one of the things that he should be doing is increasing the amount of protein that he takes.
Okay.
So when and this applies to all people, it's not just for athletes. One of the biggest things that human beings face as we age is sarcopenia. And this is loss of muscle tissue over time. And as we lose muscle tissue and strength and stamina, we also lose bone density. And when most people get to age 70, unfortunately, if they get into an accident, they may never recover completely. And it's because of that sarcopenia has initiated this process. So it's very important that we commit ourselves to lifelong commitment to exercise to maintain our bone density, muscle mass, strength, and stamina, and that we consume adequate amounts of protein to support our muscle tissue and also support our hormones and our bodies need to make collagen to repair damaged tissue. So for your son, just as a basic guideline, he would take his weight. Let's say he weighed 150 pounds. He would want to have about 150 grams of protein per day.
Wow.
And then divide that into about 4 servings or so. So let's say 35 to 40 grams of protein 4 times a day. Clinical studies kind of consistently bear this out as anyone that's interested in building muscle and supporting strength and stamina, that is a hard and fast rule that always plays out pretty well. So to your question then, what role does carnosine play? Well, carnosine is made of beta-alanine and histidine, so it's a dipeptide. And if he is consuming meat, he's probably getting beta-alanine or alanine in his diet. If he is a vegan or vegetarian, he may want to take an alanine supplement. And carnosine will form in the muscle tissue, and it'll also form in the heart and in the brain. It's not as ubiquitous as an antioxidant like glutathione, or melatonin, which are found throughout the body. But carnosine is a little bit more selective. So a part of its role is to act as an antioxidant. Part of it is to buffer lactic acid. And those are the mechanisms by which it's going to help facilitate energy transfer in the muscle tissue to support overall overall strength, stamina, and endurance. The flexibility is a measure we took, and I can't tell you that we know the exact mechanism other than carnosine, because it's an antioxidant, it can give up its electrons and help support energy production in the cell. But how it's going to improve flexibility that way, I'm not sure that's known, but it's something we measured.
Yeah, and it works. It actually works. One of his buddies was having trouble getting his swing, and I said, "Hey, Parker, try this carnosine patch." And he put it on, and the next day he tried it, went out to the course, and said, "I don't know what you did, but I can get all the way around now." I said, "Oh my goodness!" So I
That's
know.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you,
thank you.
Sandy. Of course, that question definitely benefit my two boys, and they've been patching using carnosine and exerting that, and of course, energy enhancer every time they go out and compete.
Yeah.
So the next question we have is from Erica. Erica, unmute yourself.
Okay, I think I'm unmuted. Hi, David. How are you? Hello from the Midwest.
Good, Erica. How are you?
So I've been a natural healthcare practitioner for almost 40 years. And in my practice of working with so many people, I've dealt with so much emotionally rooted symptoms. I mean, emotionally rooted issues that are creating physical symptoms. And one of the patches that was really helpful was Nirvana. So I'm wondering, is that patch coming back at any point?
We've talked about that. And, Nirvana was always intended to be a system for supporting beta endorphin levels. And, it just didn't do as well as the other products. And we had some minimums that we had to maintain. But I have talked to my staff about bringing that back. But we want to see, well, what are the claims that we want to make with that? I think what I would say is we have a new product launch that's right around the corner that might satisfy what it is that you're looking for. So I'd say maybe wait till October and then see what you think.
Okay, that's actually a question from many people in on the calls. So I'm glad to hear that. The next question will be from Mary Rosman. Mary, are you around? Can you unmute yourself?
Hello. Hi, David. Hi, all.
Hi,
Thank
Mary.
you.
Go
Oh,
ahead.
my question.
Yeah.
My question is excess inflammation. And I have many issues about heavy metals of long history regarding a spinal cord injury many years ago that they didn't find for a couple years. And there's a lot of damage. And that titanium is bothering me all the time. I'm achy, my tissues. I have now cognitive differences. I can feel that. I have issues with teeth, and because of the radiation I had to my skin in my early 20s, I had bone loss in my sinus floor. Again, they use titanium. They have some aluminum alloys, and I've had recent reissues with the dental problems. And one of the dentists that I had put some kind of a, God, I can't even think of what it was, for the crowns, to put some new crowns on. Well, it poisoned me. And when I had them removed, I had a definite toxic effect. In fact, I'm still feeling it. For a week, I could barely stay awake or stand up. I'm having dizziness. And although we've been using patches since 2019 in December, and thankfully, I'm also a natural health practitioner. I've been a nurse. I've been a technologist. So I have a pretty good handle on health in general. I'm not able to exercise because I don't have good balance. My balance is really off. And, I feel like I'm at a wall. And I reached out to Nikki and Larry, because I really don't know where to go. And the general population of doctors and healthcare practitioners are not there. They're absolutely not there. In fact, to the detrimental side. And for me, I seem to be a poster child for malpractice. It's just on and on and on. So I'm reaching out to you because of your extensive experience with all these things. And I don't know the answer. I don't know.
Okay, well, let's talk about it a little bit. I'm
Okay.
glad that you're a healthcare practitioner and you have that experience, because that definitely will be helpful for you in formulating an overall plan. And as you know, I'm not a medical doctor, I'm not a practitioner, so I'm a researcher, and I'm happy to share, a number of things with you. In the longevity community, now there's a term for inflammation as a result of aging, and this is just normal inflammation. It's referred to now as inflammaging, and this just refers to the progression in the decrease of production of intracellular antioxidants that are typically used to control oxidative and inflammatory stress as we age. But of course, what we know is that with mitochondrial dysfunction, which will start to kick in with most people about age 50, that's when the inflammatory response becomes a chronic condition and starts to manifest with some of the things that you're describing. So it sounds like you may have gotten mercury poisoning.
Absolutely.
Now, yeah, so the traditional way to deal with mercury poisoning would be with something like a glutathione drip, or either a drip with EDTA or oral EDTA. Those would be pretty common. There's also a number of herbs, if you wanted to go that route, which have been used for detoxification of heavy metals. But, in your case, some people are predisposed to not being able to make glutathione, which would be ultimately used in the body to remove the mercury. So this might be this might be the first thing that you take a look at, because if you've got mercury poisoning, that's going to affect all the soft tissue in your body. It'll affect the thyroid, the thymus, the liver. And so you'd want to deal with this first. So one thing that might be worth trying is something called gamma glutamyl cysteine. So when we look at the steps of how glutathione is made in the body, we know that we need glutamic acid, glycine, and cysteine, along with selenium. And the issue is that this is a multi-step process, and some people lack the enzyme to start converting those amino acids through the first biochemical sequence. The result of that is a compound called gamma glutamyl cysteine. And fortunately, gamma glutamyl cysteine converts very easily over into glutathione. So what this means, there's one company in the world that I know of that I've spoken to. They're based out of Australia, but they have distribution here in the United States. They have a product called Glytine, Glyteine, and they have a trade name for it called Continual G. But basically, it's a little bit expensive. But basically, this is a gamma glutamyl cysteine supplement that will convert in your body right over to glutathione. It's an expensive way of making glutathione. But for people that have this issue metabolizing glutathione, it's a great option. So that could be something that you take to help detoxify your body of that mercury. There are some people that say that carbon 60 supplementation can detoxify heavy metals from the body, but I don't have any direct experience with that. But that might be something you'd want to look at. in studies. Typically, the C60 is put into a solution of olive oil, and and that's one potential thing you can look at. And then, of course, the glutathione drips. I might also look at IVs of ozone. Dr. Schallenberger out in Nevada uses ozone IVs with glutathione IVs and has tremendous success with that. And there's certainly a few other ways that you could go, but that would be a good start. Now, to deal with the inflammation, you probably know already that there are any number of different natural materials that will do that. One of my favorites is olive oil, but it has to be the organic olive oil, which are very high in polyphenols and oleuropein, and which is a little bit difficult to get, but it's going to be a very, very powerful anti-inflammatory. And some of the new research now is showing that this type of olive oil can activate two of the sirtuin genes, which are associated with longevity. It's actually more powerful than resveratrol. So that would be one option. Another option that would be really interesting for you because it contains sulfur would be DMSO, dimethyl sulfoxide. That can be taken orally or by IV, but of course you never take too much of that. 2 tablespoons, 1 to 2 tablespoons per week is enough because it's a very powerful blood thinner. But of course, that's typically used for systemic inflammation, and that does quite a good job of it. And then I think finally, when we're talking about systemic inflammation, I would have to mention curcumin. And the active form of curcumin, the one that I've seen in studies, is called BCM95. And this is an extract of turmeric. It's a very specific type of curcumin that acts as an anti-inflammatory. And when you combine, there's a doctor that I know here in Florida, he will combine curcumin with DMSO in an IV drip, and he uses it as a treatment for prostate cancer. But basically, it's that combination is an incredibly powerful anti-inflammatory, and you probably get some detox effects from that as well. So that I'd say would be a pretty good start to move in that direction. There's certainly a lot of other things, but those foundationally are very, very safe and may help you along your way.
Wow, thank you. Actually, you had just answered the next question from Nikki. She wanted to know about her body doesn't produce glutathione because of the certain copy. She doesn't have the copy of DNA needed. So I think you just answered a question on that one.
Okay.
All right. Next question we have. Let's see what time is it. I want to make sure. We probably have 1 or 2 more questions. I don't want to keep you too long. So let's the next question is there a possible chance that you can change the pricing of the energy enhancer or LifeWave, or maybe increase the number of patches per sleep? Because I know some of us use 2 sets of energy enhancer per day, and it's basically that's only maybe 10 days worth of patches.
That's a good question. I'll look at that with Meredith and Ryan. I know we've had discussions about that over the years on the pricing. I think what we would probably do if we did anything along those lines is reduce the price point. So the cost of 2 sleeves, would be less than it is today. That would probably, we wouldn't try to put more patches in an envelope. That involves a change to the manufacturing. So sure, I'd be happy to discuss that with Meredith and Ryan.
Thank you. And next question will be from Diane Creation from Canada. Diane, would you like to unmute yourself? Or can you?
Yes. Hi, David. Should I ask
Hi,
my
Diane.
question?
Yes, go
Hi.
ahead.
Please.
So I was wondering, given that there's so much evidence linking parasites to cancer and tumors on imaging, have you done any research on this topic and maybe considered any kind of new technology that might address parasites?
Oh, I think when it comes to parasites, there's already a number of technologies that work extremely well. I would recommend, if you haven't read it, there's a book by Hulda Clark called The Cure for All Diseases, and that's worth looking at. I'm sorry to say that many years ago, I went to a lecture on parasites, and it was the most disgusting lecture I've ever been to in my life. I went with a friend of mine who's a medical doctor, and you see parasites being pulled out of the body. And once it's the kind of thing, once you see it, you can't unsee it. Uh, but this fellow, the medical doctor that gave the lecture, was quite an expert globally in the subject. And I asked him about the types of therapies that he was using. And actually, he said the very traditional herbal remedies really work very well. So the things that we already know, like wormwood, um, green walnut hulls, garlic, grapeseed extract, these things, they work extremely well, and they're already, of course, formulated on the market. The other thing with parasites are the cycles. Typically there would be about a 4-week cycle that somebody would take these herbal remedies to assist with removing the parasites from the body. Then you can have also these biofilm issues, which are very, very difficult to address. So I would say if an individual was suffering with parasites, you definitely look at something a program that you're going to commit to for, let's say, over a period of about a year or so, where you're going to really focus on diet, limiting the amount of sugar that's in the diet, go through cycles of different types of anti-parasitics. So maybe 1 month you're using a garlic supplement, another month you're using wormwood in combination with some things. There are the electronic zappers, how efficacious they are. I can't say, I know Dr. Clark felt very highly about them, as well as some other doctors that I met. But I can't say that I've ever seen a clinical study to that effect. We've developed in our labs a new technology that's intended for longevity, and I have suspected that it may have an effect on parasites in the body, but that's totally unknown. It's there's no clinical study that we've done to see whether or not this could effectively help to support the removal of parasites from the body. We don't really know. It's just a suspicion based on the way the technology works. So it's yet to be seen.
Thank you. Thank you. And I also want to say thank you so much for everything that you have done. Last year, my husband was on death's door after a minor mole removal surgery. He had neurological issues and high D-dimer and the AIDS patient look, so I don't know what was done to him in surgery, but for 4 months, my healthy husband was bedbound, and X39 gave him his life back. And I am so forever grateful and emotional, and I will spend the rest of my life paying it forward and indebted to you. I thank you so much.
Oh, congratulations. That's amazing.
Wow.
God bless you.
Thank you. God bless you and keep you safe.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. How do I follow that question? That testimonial. That's amazing. Let's see. I don't want to keep you too long. I do. So we don't, like I said, we have so many questions and we can't get to it all. So I want to
I'll
jump.
take one more, no problem. We can finish out the hour here. It's totally okay.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna talk about a convention a little bit then. You
Okay.
talk about that we'll be getting some sample of the supplement. Is that going to be like a week worth of samples, or what is it going to be like?
Did I say that?
Yeah, you did.
I thought that was a surprise. Maybe not. You never know. Once I got on a call, I talk about a lot of things, so it's hard to remember sometimes. Yeah, no. We are going to be giving out samples of both of the formulas when people come to the conference in October. So, of course, that's our Energize formula and that's our Relax formula. There is one little thing about the Energize formula that we haven't released yet, and which I'm very excited about. So we'll talk about that at the October event. So
All right, I guess you guys have to
we'll
wait.
have enough samples for so people can enjoy them every day that they're there. Let's put it that way.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much. And I was going to ask this question, but then this morning I got an email from the LifeWave team that featuring you in the late DSN direct sales news issue. And, you know, I know a lot of us probably didn't get a chance to read that issue yet. But in that article, there was you guys, if you haven't seen it, go check your email and read the entire article. In that article, you were talking about transition from a health technology company into a life technology company. Can you share with us more about that statement?
Well, I can definitely validate that I did say that. Yes. So, well, let's see how would I want to answer this? For many years, of course, most of the time we've been a patch company, and that's how people have known us. But at this October event, we're going to open up a door and enter into the next phase of our business. And we're going to be launching a technology that's as foundational as the patches, meaning what I've discovered is a way to use light in an entirely different way that hasn't been used before. And that is going to give birth to a new product, but the new product is based on a core technology. So what that means is in the coming years, you're going to see that we're going to be releasing new products that are based off of this core technology. And but there's so much more beyond that because we've been developing, this is not going to be a surprise because we've talked about it at previous events and I've shown some of the things that we've done. We've been developing agricultural systems. Of course, we have a new drone technology, and that technology is a test bed for technology we want to take into the network at some point in the future. One of the things that I talked about last year is I would love to have a branch of LifeWave that provided communication services. So we could have private communications without government intrusion. That would be something that I would like to do, and we have a technology for that. But all of these things have to, they have to happen in their own time. And we've been working on these things behind closed doors. So if you were to come into our labs, you probably wouldn't think you were in a LifeWave lab because there's very little to do. I have my patch research in one corner, and then the other 90% is way different technology. But we're looking towards the future and thinking, what type of company do we want to be in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? And it's very clear, just as it was clear to me back in 2008, that we should be heading in the direction of regenerative medicine, regenerative science. It's very clear to me where we need to be in the next 10 years and where society is going. So we want to be prepared to release that technology to help meet the demands that we're going to be faced with. So I would say if we looked at our food supply is being corrupted, the fact that Bill Gates has 50% of the farmland now in the United States, and his intention is to grow genetically modified organisms. And we know these things have already been approved by FDA. There's compounds in these synthetic meats that they don't even know what they are and what they do, but they were approved nonetheless. And there's no good answers about what the GMOs are going to do to people's health. So we need to have solutions for this, very practical solutions. We know what's going on with the infrastructure in not just the United States, but also globally. And I think before I say too much, I think I would just say we're trying to look at this now on a very global level and look at some of the basic needs that human beings have and how governments are failing to provide people with things that they require for their existence and do it in harmony with nature. So it would be my intention to get these technologies that we've developed out into the market, and we will expand the opportunity that we're offering for our brand partners in an incredible way. We'll be getting into industries that are hundreds of billions of dollars per year. But we're doing it, I would say, you know, because at some point, you have to say you're not doing this for the money. The money's irrelevant. It's that if people don't have a certain standard by which they can live by, where you can say, no, I'm not buying that genetically modified food. I know it's not good for me, and I'm not buying lettuce that has the mRNA virus in it, because that's a thing now. So we want to be able to give people the freedom, the independence to have these alternatives, and not just in agriculture, not just in health, but very far beyond that. And the technologies exist. It's a matter of building the manufacturing, going through the regulatory, and getting it to market. We don't have a problem in the technology area. The technology exists today. It's all a matter of how do you get it out to the world.
Well, thank you. And I hope it doesn't require green thumbs to grow these vegetables, because I do have black thumbs.
I do too. I do too. So I would say that would be good news for both of us.
Well, thank you. Next is you talk and we sample the whiskey. So the light infused whiskey. So Nikki, this is your question about a whiskey.
The brandy.
The brandy. Yes, the
Yeah.
brandy.
We want to know if it is going to be available for us to purchase, because I actually in love with the sample that we had an opportunity to taste test last year.
Yeah, you know, actually, Jane is psychic because I do have a light infused whiskey in my lab. We have a light infused whiskey, a light infused gin, a light infused vodka.
I know you
We've
had a
tried
light
it with all.
infused chocolate.
Sorry?
The light infused chocolate.
Yes, that we haven't worked on that one in a while. But that was a thing for a bit. Yeah, you know, we have a company that we've worked with here in Florida, and we ran into a number of regulatory issues, and it became, you know, something of, you know, we've been able to make quite a bit of this now. So it's not a technology challenge, but it's more of, you have to have licenses to ship, and there's these kind of restrictions. So yeah, so that's why you haven't seen it yet.
Wow. Well, I hope that we get to see that soon.
I do too.
So
Yeah.
yeah, Larry.
David, I'm glad that you do that. I got, after that event last year, when we come home, Nikki, miss your brandy. I got her some of the very expensive French brandy. She go like, nope, this is not what I want. I go, I can't get it. Literally, is no way I can get any kind of brandy close to the taste that you make that brandy.
You
It was
know, if
delicious.
I had some left, Larry, I would send it out to you and Nikki in a minute for everything that you've done for the company. I wouldn't hesitate. I don't know if I actually have any left. You never know though in the lab. There's always something around the corner there.
Okay,
No,
Nikki,
it's been
sure.
Jim Caldwell and I have been working on this project, and it's been so frustrating because we've just run into these barriers about being able to get it out to market because of regulations. So yeah, but I hope that we'll be able to show it again.
Great.
Thank you,
Thank you
David.
so much. And we at the bottom hour, that hour's gone by so fast when we have you. And so in closing, do you any message for our brand partners currently, new one that coming in and the fans of joining us?
Yeah, you know, I think what I would say is, first of all, there's always going to be problems in life that you're going to encounter, and there's always solutions. I'd say the first thing, the most important thing, it's certainly been foundational in my life, is to have a life of prayer and of gratitude. And it seems that when you have a daily life of prayer and you give thanks for the things that you have, even in the face of things maybe not going so well, that you do receive blessings for building awareness that you have these things in your life that God has given you, and you look to do God's will, not your own. Those things are just so very important. And we have an amazing, amazing community of people. It's just so truly extraordinary that what our community, it doesn't really matter what country you're in, that these people truly want to help those in need. So you could be faced with almost any type of problem. There's going to be people there who sincerely want to be there to help. And ultimately, that's really what I want for LifeWave, is it for it to represent hope and to be a solution uh, when people are faced with, you know, some really tough problems in life. Over the course of the last 20 years, there were many times when, especially, you know, at the very beginning, where it was very difficult. And but yet through those dark times, through with a lot of patience, persistence, staying true to the vision, goal, and of course, only because of God, that we ended up in the place that we are today. So I would say that we're here because this was born out of a period that was very, very difficult. But if myself and others had given up, we wouldn't be here today at all. We would just be a kind of a distant memory. So I would say that if you're in your life right now and you're faced with some challenges, turn to God, lead a life of prayer, ask for guidance, ask for God's will in your life, and turn to the people in our community. They're beautiful people that just want to help.
Wow, thank you so much for that kind words, and definitely we appreciate you for everything you have done to this for us and in the community. And we do have a wonderful community. And
We do.
yeah. And of course, we will see you. A few of us will be seeing you next month, in a little less than a month now, and we can't wait. So
Looking forward to it. It's going to be fun.
yes.
Absolutely.
And I know it's late for you. I don't want to keep you any longer. I mean, we can keep you for many hours. I still have lots of questions and I couldn't even get to it all. But thank you so much again for taking the time to be here with us. And we truly, truly appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me, Jane. Always great to see you, and always great to see everyone here.
All
Thank
right.
you, David.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, David,
Okay,
for your
thanks,
outstanding
everybody.
support for
Thank
our,
you, David.
for our team.
David.
God bless you.
Thank
David.
you. God bless.
Thank
God
you.
bless.
Bye-bye. Amen.
All right, you guys.
Thank you, Jane. Great job, Jane.
I
Thank
hope you
you.
guys
That
took
was
lots of
beautiful.
notes. Of course, this is recorded, so you will get a chance to, listen to it again because I couldn't even like, oh my God, that was a lot of information. So, and we'll be back to our patch training next week with Nick and Larry, and I'll come on tomorrow briefly for Friday Live on Facebook. So other than that, you all, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We do have a great turnout. So hopefully we'll get to do this again, with David sometime, maybe next year.
That's right.
Well, Jane, we should do this every quarter. So keep
That
keep
would
it
be
up.
nice.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
you can try to pin him down when you see him on the cruise and
Okay.
see if he can do it.
Definitely. I think that's what we'll be doing.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
We'll
for
bring
sure.
all
I
the
gonna.
unanswered questions to David.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, okay, we need an hour from you, David. We still have another 40 questions that we need answers.
I know. And,
Okay.
sorry, you guys, I keep seeing people coming in late. So you do
Yeah.
miss a lot of stuff. We started at 6 o'clock today. And
Yeah.
if you miss anything, wait until Nikki posts the recording and you'll be able to share that with your team. And of course, I apologize. We try to get to as many, like Nikki said, we have over 60 questions. And David is so generous in giving advice, and he really wants to make sure that you get everything that you're asking for. So he's always give more than what we ask in the question. So it takes a little bit longer. I do apologize. So I'll try to email him the question that left, and we'll see if he has time. He might be able to answer a few. And if he does, then I'll forward, Nikki and I will forward to you guys. I'll post it on Telegram.
Yep.
So
Right.
any last
Awesome.
word from our leaders?
Sure. The last everyone stand by. Since David gonna send me, I don't know how many cases of brandy. So if you're in Southland, stand by. When I get the brandy, let's celebrate. All right, let's get drunk.
Definitely.
Woo, Brother Larry, thank you.
Yep.
Great job, by the way.
That was a great
James.
job, yeah.
Awesome.
Good
And
job. Thank you all.
Bless you,
Thank
David.
you.
you,
Good night,
Jane.
you guys.
God bless.
Thank
LifeWave.
you. All right. Bye-bye.
God bless LifeWave.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Everybody. Thank you, Sister Princess.
Bye.
Bye-bye,
Bye.
everybody. Good night.
Bye.
Bye.